I'm Lindy Harden, and I was the Volunteer Development Director for San Antonio Pets Alive from when they started. When we started, we were based out of a business model of Austin Pets Alive, but we only had a month to really get up and start our fundraising practices. And this is Katie Bryant, and she was instrumental in that time, not only as part of our fundraising team, but also our marketing team and our direct mail guru. As you guys know, probably a lot of times you take on a whole lot of hats, and that is Katie to a T. So we're gonna share with you what worked for us the first couple of years, what didn't work, and there are a few of those. And hopefully you guys will glean some stuff. And then at the end, we'll take questions. And then we'll also take some tips and things that have worked for you guys, because I think it's very important to share amongst ourselves, because we don't have, we don't all have the right recipes. So if we can share it, we can make a really pretty goulash. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We only have 50 minutes, so I'm going to try to speed through this as much as possible. But if I am going too fast, please let me know. All right, so we've already gone through who we are. See, moving right along. But yes, we had to move very, very fast. Like I said, less than a month from when we had the idea to start San Antonio Pets Alive to when we actually started pulling our first animals. So we had to really quickly get all of our stuff in place to be able to accept donations and to sustain that going forward. So we're going to go through a few different things, and we'll go into each of these points in more detail. But we'll be going through online fundraising. It's an easy way to get money. It's not a lot of work, but you have to plan it properly and get the right tools in place. Grants and foundations and sponsorships takes a little bit more time and skill, but can be a big reward. Events also can be time consuming, but can be a big thing with brand awareness and actually bringing in money. Donation drives and boxes. Once again, once you get the process set up, you can kind of take that into autopilots, and you can really counteract some of the expenses you have with your organization. Merchandise sales, t-shirts, different things like that, not only bring in money, but also help to spread your brand so that people know who you are around the community. Direct mail, Katie will be talking through that in a lot of detail, because that is another really, really good way to bring in money. And then the big thing that you can't harp on enough, but often gets put to the wayside when you have such an urgent mission, is thank you. Appreciation for people who donate, your supporters, your fosters, your volunteers. Really being able to continue those relationships and grow those. And then one thing that I just wanted to talk about in the very front, this is a great way to learn, but I encourage you to also go to other organizations and find a mentor, especially if you're just starting out. A lot of people are very, very open to sharing their experiences. And even if it's in your own town, maybe it's not a competitive person, maybe it's American Heart Association or something that is in a different industry. It's really helpful to be able to draw upon those relationships. All right, online fundraising. Obviously, the interweb is catching on. People are doing a lot more donations online than snail mail, checks, different things like that, or actually going to the facilities. So it's important to have an online donation vehicle, and there are a whole bunch of different ones out there. I think the big thing is being able to identify, if you don't have upfront budget for fundraising, some of them do require monthly fees. Some of them are just more admin fees. Like, for instance, Razoo, it's just a % off, on the top of a donation, and then a transaction fee. And the same thing with PayPal. But the real cool ones are the ones where you can transfer the admin costs, those fees, those credit card fees, to the donor, So if they donate, $100, $6 isn't going to admin fee. They can actually say, yeah, I want to donate my admin fees as well. So it's $106, so you're not out anything, because those admin fees can really add up. So when you're looking at it, I'm not going to go through all the fees or anything, but look at, they're very competitive throughout the different tools, and find the one that's right for you. Third-party shopping sign-up. That's basically you sign up one and done, and then you market it. So Amazon Smiles, somebody can click something, and then every time they shop through Amazon, a percentage goes back and you get a check in the mail. So that's also good for, most of them require you to be the registered 501c3 for those, but it's another easy way where you just kind of take the 10 minutes to fill out the information, and then you get some residual checks every month. Online auctions. If you don't necessarily have a location to have it like a silent auction, this is a good way to just collect baskets. We did a Valentine's Day themed auction where we went to our fosters and asked them to put together different themed baskets. And so, 5 of them would get together and do a pet, a cat, themed one. Some would do puppy, and we basically just put the pictures on the 31 Auctions website, and people would bid on them. So, and raised a pretty good amount of money in a very short amount of time, and we recruited our supporters to help build those baskets, and it made it a little bit more fun. Individual page fundraising. For instance, with Razoo, you can set up an online page where somebody can set up a team. For instance, we did like a running team. So we had people raising money for San Antonio Pets Alive, and you can see competitively who is winning between the runners, and they could send out the link on their own through Facebook, through email, and you could see where we are. And we ended up raising $5,000 because you add a little bit of the competitive component, and people take ownership with fundraising, and maybe they're running their animal was kind of the namesake or the mascot of their running team. So that's another option as well. And then another thing that's not just an online fundraising, but it's definitely spread very nicely is through matches. Of course, anytime that you can drive urgency to your donations, kind of time box it. If you can find like a donor that would say donate $100 and they would match up to $100. Hopefully it would be a little bit more than that, but you can start at that and say anybody who raises, donates up to $100 this hour, then this person's going to match it. So people like the feeling of their money going twice as far, and when you time box it, it makes it more attainable, and it drives the urgency. So encourage the matches. That's been very successful, and we'll get through that a little bit more detail. Sorry, and I said I wasn't going to go into detail. So one of the online pieces is the chip-in. So like I was saying, we use Razoo for our chip-ins because we can easily create a page for each individual animal that comes in possibly with a medical issue. So for instance, this is Miracle. Came in, had a hit by a train, so we put together quickly a Razoo page, and then we marketed it, and we were able to put their video, the pictures, and then we posted it online and asked for people to support us. So it's always good to put a story, and we are so blessed in the fact that we're doing puppies and kittens because people really, we can see them. It's just precious. So we've got a gift in that, and anytime you can put a story to that, it really drives people to give and to really connect, with those. So it's important, of course, once they donate, to continue to update them on the results, what they've done, how they impacted the medical treatment of that animal, or if it's a program, if it's like heartworm treatment or something, going back to the donor and really letting them know what their donation meant to that animal and to your organization. Sending them a picture of the animal looking happy and healthy, that sort of thing. Another thing that's fundraising but marketing, a little bit of both, which I think it's very important because they go hand in hand, and most of the things, if you have a great fundraising campaign and you can't market it, it's not going to go anywhere. So they're really, really tied at the hip. Because, for instance, with Miracle, not only did we do a fundraiser, like a chip-in fundraiser, but we also put out a press release. So we could put out a story to the media, and they would see what was happening. They could see that San Antonio Pets Alive was there to help that animal, so then it got our name out as a helpful organization in the community. And then also at the end, we had a donate at, so people knew where to come and donate to us. So it helps put our name out there, especially when you're new organizations. Not every story, probably 1 out of 10 may get picked up, but that one gets picked up, and it's free, and the news picks up. And they really, once you develop those relationships with the media sources, they love to do animal stories because people like to see that. All right, going to grants and sponsorships. It's a lot of words, which is what a lot of people look at when they're doing grants. They're like, oh, there's so much words, and you have to write all this stuff. Where do I even start? We didn't have any startup costs, so I used good old-fashioned Google, and I would Google foundations and Google anything I could think of to try to get leads on different organizations that would donate to us. And I also did little sneaky things, and I would go to other organizations that were like ours and see who donated to them, and then would research that organization. So there's a lot of different ways to do it quickly without subscription, because a lot of the libraries do have a subscription charge. But if you do have a foundation, like in San Antonio, I have San Antonio Area Foundation, and they have a library that they open up to nonprofits, and I would imagine some of the bigger cities have something similar to that. So I would encourage you to look at your nonprofit councils and see if there is a library that you can go and research grants, because it just helps you a little bit there. Once you do find the foundations that you're wanting to apply to, I would encourage you to go to GuideStar, or I think I've also put it up there, there's a Fund Finders, and there's something every foundation needs to submit from a tax perspective yearly, and that is their 990. And that will tell everyone that they've given donations to and how much they gave to them. So that way you can tailor your ask to an appropriate level. So if they only give 10,000, you don't want to ask for $1 million. So you just kind of, it gives you an idea, a ballpark of who they're giving to, what programs they're giving to, and at how much. So that's a helpful thing, is the 990. It's the very, very end. You scroll through a PDF. And then the other thing is, a lot of times I was not skilled at all in grant writing, but if I didn't submit a grant, that was 100% I was going to get it. So I was very surprised when we started getting some. But like I mean, if you don't submit it, you're not going to get it. So know those deadlines and make sure you reach them, because that's the first thing. You know, people are looking at any little thing that they can throw at a grant, because they get a lot of them. So if you don't make the deadline and you don't have a financial or one of the documents, it's an easy way for them not even to look at your application. So make sure it's complete and make sure it's on time. Reach out. If you do have a contact name on the website, a lot of times they'll have the grant coordinator. Call them. Call them and ask about their program. Pitch your program to them, and you know, see if it's, you know, it's parallel to what their vision and what their grant giving is. And they'll, I mean, most of them are very, very open, and they'll talk to you and kind of guide you through. So it's really helpful to make that phone call before you submit and put a name to that application. And then, you know, a lot of times you'll find a grant and it's like, oh my gosh, it's due in 2 days. So it's nice to have a grant folder. Usually they ask for financials from the last year. This year, having a grant folder with all of that and your tax determination letter, you know, maybe just a letter that states your mission, vision, programs, that sort of thing. It's always handy to have that quickly in a folder that you can, you know, pull out and quickly compile your grant. And then sponsorships. I kind of threw this in. But it's kind of bigger money. Start having a sponsorship package. Think of creative ways that you can sell your organization, whether it's selling a room, as a, you know, the title naming of a room or of a program. You can really be creative in the ways that you do sponsorships. And once you do that, you can even, like for instance, and I'll get into this actually later in, I believe. So I'll hold that. Okay, events. All right, so one thing with the events is I think it's important to really assess up front how much time and cost is going to go into the event, and then what you think you're going to get out of it. Because there's a lot of amazing ideas, but you really have to think about how much time, especially with most of our organizations really being volunteers and being one person doing 16 jobs. You really have to think about how much time you're going to spend and what you're going to get out of it. Is it better to do an online campaign that's really, really good, or do we want to go ahead and do that? And not all events have to make a whole lot of money. A lot of it could be recognition, or it could be getting your name out there. So money is not what it's all about, but we're in Fundraising 101, so I'm assuming it is. Third-party events, to that point. You have a lot of volunteers, you have a lot of lack of staff. Getting somebody else to completely own the event and bring in the money and just hand you the check, you can maybe market it, that's the best way to do it. So look at your local businesses. I know Easy's and 54th Street and a lot of the different businesses will give 10% back during a time or a time period and a date. So you just market it to your supporters, and then just go from there. So think of creative ways. We did pomegranate margarita, where one of the businesses, every time you ordered this drink, they would donate all the proceeds back to us. So there's a lot of creative ways. It's a matter of just sitting down with some of your businesses and seeing what may work for you and them. And I would encourage that whenever you do these third-party events, to have some sort of contract so that they understand and the expectations are set up front of what you are going to do and what they are going to do. And then how much they're going to give to you and when. Because obviously most of the people you deal with are really great, but it helps avoid any kind of misconceptions and keeps it straightforward. Another thing is from a third-party event, sometimes you'll have adoption events or events that are already in the books that may not be fundraising events. So you can recruit vendors, whether it's Mary Kay or Cincy or Pampered Chef or any of the number of independent reps that you see around, and have almost like a bazaar. And we've done that before, where you just basically charge a percentage of their proceeds or a straight booth fee or table fee, and then you make money on top of something that you're already marketing and getting people and driving traffic to. So it's just a little bit of an added bonus there. And then the hard part is when you put together this amazing event and no one comes. This is why I think marketing is so important, obviously. But it's important to really grab someone by the hand and bring them the first couple times, making that contact with 5 of your friends to have them come and then realize, hey, it's kind of fun. But I encourage you to do like an events team that's kind of the fun people that you know are going to come. And then it drives, oh, well, that was a really fun event, so I want to come the next time. So door prizes, having fun people there, anything like that helps people continue to come to your event and know that it's going to be a good time. So we already talked about that. Oh, maximizing other events. If you do have an adoption event, especially if it's like at a pet supply store, it's always good to have just a whiteboard that has your in-kind needs, whether it's kitty litter, paper towels, dog food, but having something as they walk in, they know, hand them a flyer and then they go. They may not adopt an animal, but when they buy their dog food, maybe they're going to buy another bag and then hand it to you on the way out. So stating your needs and just simple things that can bring in either in-kind or monetary donation. Definitely have the donation jar at your events, at your tables and stuff. All right. Oh, and then as far as the events, you have a lot of little events, and eventually you'll want to have a signature event where it's annual. So, hopefully it gets to a point where every year, when you start planning, you know who you're going to go to for sponsorships, and you know what the theme is, you know the venue, and it just becomes clockwork. But it's important and it's hard to start out the very first event, trying to figure out that sassy theme and figure out the partners. But it's hard to find something unique, but try to find something unique, whether or not it's the name of, maybe you're doing a golf tournament, but you name it something cute, like 4 Paws or something. So just think of unique events that not everyone's doing to try to differentiate yourself from all the other galas and different things that's going on. All right, donation drives and boxes. Really recruit the community, whether it's Girl Scout, Boy Scout troops, churches, to do some of this work for you, to do supply drives, schools. If you can get in with a superintendent or a principal or a teacher, we've had huge donation drives with kids bringing in paper towels and treats and stuff, like baskets and baskets, because obviously kids love animals. It's a very relatable cause, and it's a good way to start recruiting our early rescuers. We talked about in-kind donations, work with your local businesses, even linen and laundry businesses. A lot of times I know that we need linens, towels, different things like that. So if you can find a business that would donate used things like this, it's so much easier, obviously, to get it donated in a bulk than onesies, twosies. All right, donation boxes, and I think we're going to talk about this a little bit more, or no? Donation boxes, also working with your community and your businesses to see if they can put together a box or just allow you to have a donation box at their register so that you can come on a weekly, monthly basis whenever it's filled and pull it out. So that gives a little understanding of how much they would be, but then they bring in weekly and monthly totals. So, all right, merchandise, t-shirts, branded items. The hard part a lot of times with merchandise is that it walks off. So you may get a whole big bulk of things and then put it at your location, and then all of a sudden you're like, where's the money? We had this many people. And so it's hard to keep track. It's hard to mail things out. Sometimes it's a logistical hardship. So there are a couple organizations, or websites that will do custom merchandise and take some of the they're going to be doing the logistics, they're going to be doing the ordering, they're going to be doing the actual shipping. So they're taking away all that, but of course they take some of the margin. So if you can get them printed up and sell them at events, then you're going to get a lot more of the profit. But this is an easier way to do it if you don't have the infrastructure to do that inventory management. So those are a couple ones that I've found that are helpful. And just thinking of other things that you can sell. It's also a talking point. If you have something to sell, it's easier to talk to somebody about the mission. And so little things like Christmas stockings, people really love that because it's something that they may have forgotten at the last minute, and you can get dollar store items and compile them and have at least 100% profit on those. Good old-fashioned bake sales. We've got a group, the Bottle Baby Crusaders, that during our big events, they come and they bring some of the most amazing bakery goods you would ever imagine. I think the last one, they raised like $600 or $700 over a weekend event. It was, just a bunch of people coming together, no cost, just people donating their time and their skills. And so it's simple, but it can bring in some money. We did Fiesta medals. That's kind of a San Antonio thing, but I'm sure your city has something similar. Just think of something unique and that you can do that gets not only your name out, but then gets you some money. Other things, first pet package with the adoptions, putting together, compiling, buying in bulk, collars, leashes, cages, different things like that if you're crate training. So that when an adopter comes and they adopt their animal and they're like, I don't know, I'm going to have to go to PetSmart right now, you can say, oh, or you can buy this little sweet package, and maybe it's branded with your rescue's name, and then they can quickly already have all that and save themselves a trip, and then you guys get a little bit of profit in the meantime. And then, also partnerships. Any kind of partnership with, the pet stores, it's always a good thing. All right, and with that, I'm going to kick it over to Katie on the direct mail.
All right. We put a couple direct mail pieces on the table for you to see that we've done recently. That's our Christmas mailer and the envelope, and then the match fund that we just did over Valentine's Day also is on there. The match fund had an envelope in it, the ones that went out, and a reply card, which is always very important to make it easy for them to send you a check back. So, and this is just a breakdown. This was actually our last year, December mailing cost. So we mailed out 17,500 pieces. And I own a printing company, so these are actually my costs to do this job. If you go to a printer, you're going to pay 10 or 15% more, obviously, because they're going to mark it up. So make friends with a printer that has, a bleeding heart for animal rescue, and maybe you can get it at cost as well. So our mailing costs were total of $7,500. That included postage at a nonprofit rate. We received $18,000, so we made a profit of $11,000. So it is very profitable to do the mailings. Out of that 17,000 names, about 3,000 of them were people that have already donated to the organization. And then the others were names that we selected based on their income, based on if they owned a home. Just trying to look for people that are in a stable situation that would be giving back to the organization. So, and the other thing we do, so the 3,000 that went out, they had a different card in their mailing than the people that have never donated to us. So if we know, based on our data, that they've already given us $100 or $500, we don't want to send them a card asking them for $25. We want to send them a card and start our ask at $100 because they're more than likely going to give us a large amount. So while that may take a little more time or cost a little more money, it does pay off to start those asks higher on people that have already donated to you. The quality of your data. So being in the mailing business, we get all kinds of terrible data. So this is one of the most important things if you're going to do a mailing campaign is that you keep your data at a high quality. Collect at every event you're at all these events Lindy was talking about, be collecting names, collecting email addresses, phone numbers even. So when somebody becomes a large donor, you want to be able to pick up the phone and thank them personally, and also reach out to them and if you have a need and see if they'll help you. Add them to your database and classify who they are. Are they an adopter? Did they donate to you? Are they a foster? So make sure you know who that person is. So maybe you're not going to spend a lot of money sending a mailing to your fosters. You're going to eliminate them out of your list and save money and just direct that mailing at who's going to give money back. And then track your donations by each campaign. Track it by the campaign and track it by, obviously, who gave it to you. So at the end of the year, even if it's just our first 2 years, we were just on an Excel spreadsheet. So we had columns. For each mailing campaign we did, we had a column. So we knew at the end of the year, Mr. Smith gave us at these 3 different campaigns X amount of dollars. So, and then when you're doing a direct mail, if you're working, I don't know if any of you have done direct mail campaigns, but if you're working with a mailer, make sure they're running your list through a national change of address, and that prior to the mailing going out, they give you your list back, because some of those people have moved out of your area. Some of those people, their address is just not valid, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to end up in the junk. And then make a decision. Which ones do you want to take out? If you're using a list of donors and non-donors, and now they're out of your area, we take those out. If they're gave substantially and they've moved, we'll keep them in the list for a little while longer and see if they continue to give to us after they've left our area. So those are things important. And it's really not complicated for a mailer to do that for you, so don't hesitate to ask them. When they do the NCOA and they give you back your changes, update your database so you have the right addresses. That's very important. And then you can keep your data backed up in several areas. We've all, I'm sure, at some point lost something very valuable when our hard drive crashed, but this isn't something you ever want to lose. You know, as you build that database year after year, it becomes very valuable to your organization. And if you have staff and volunteers handling it, make sure they sign a confidentiality agreement, because if they leave you, you don't want them taking that data with you and sharing it with anybody else. Did you want to talk about that one, to thank?
Oh, yeah. So we talked about it earlier. Just really, really remember to thank. I mean, we've got so much stuff going on and so many other things to do. After the fact, it's hard to go back and thank, but it's so important, especially when you look at future donations. So think about your appreciation plan. Think about what your strategy should be. Set up some sort of protocol. Like for instance, if it's $1 to $25, make sure that they're getting an email, you know, the tax, you know, throwing them the tax deductible information and everything that they need from that, but something that has a little bit more personal touch to it so that they know that you really, really thank them and it's going towards the animals. Something over that, you may want to do a handwritten postcard. So maybe it's, you know, not as expensive as a full-on thank you note, but it's something that is pre-written and you can sign and put a little bit of a note to it and send it to them. If it's over that, you may want to do a handwritten, a card that, you know, actually you can write and send it to them so that they can see that you appreciate it. And then maybe you have 250 or more gets a letter from your executive director or your development director, whoever is, has a little bit more of an importance, I guess, that really makes them think that somebody personally had sent them something. And then maybe a different amount of 500 or more, you invite them for a tour, because that may be something that can give even more once they really understand your mission. But if you have a facility, it's something very simple, and it continues to build that relationship with them on a one-to-one basis. Donor retention, we've been talking about that. They really love handwritten letters. We got a lot of positive feedback that we stopped and wrote a letter and told them that we really thanked them. And what Katie was saying is what we didn't do the first year is really collect didn't collect phone numbers, because most of our information was coming from our Razoo online donations, and that's not something that is a required field, and PayPal as well. So we were pulling a lot of our, you know, donor information that didn't have the phone numbers. So more and more we're trying, our new online tool actually has a field for phone numbers, and so what our goal is to be able to call them before a campaign to just thank them, to get them used to us calling just to thank them, not to necessarily ask for money, but just to tell them, hey guys, we saved this many animals this year. We're now at this % no kill. Thank you so much for what you have done towards this goal. And other things that I think are kind of cool is if you have like a symphony or some sort of thing that you could gather a donation of a whole bunch of tickets to be able to call and offer them tickets or something like that. So you're calling and giving back to them and thanking them, so the next time they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to remember you at the year-end donation cycles. Donor database, she already really talked about that, really collect that information. The more targeted you can get to those people, if they gave to a direct mail that was about parvo or about our cat, their cattery, well then maybe we know that they have more of an affinity to cats, and so the next time we send them a direct mail, we kind of, can target it to the folks that we think are going to be the most likely to respond. And we already talked about that, so I think that's it.
So the next tool we use a lot to reach out to our supporters is Facebook, which I'm sure most of you are using as well. These are some of the things that tell us who likes our page, who's looking at our posts, and who our audience is, who our supporters are. I know, big surprise, 82% are women. Who would have known? So, but this is everybody using Facebook and familiar with the insights and using the insights to direct your campaigns? Okay. So the other is use them to engage your people. Just know where they're coming from, know their age. So if you're going to plan an event, if you're going to plan something, this tool is going to tell you who's watching you, who's supporting you. So plan your event accordingly, age appropriate, that will draw those people out and hopefully make them stronger supporters, and they'll bring their friends as well and just continue to build your network. Same thing, some more of the same information. Just, use your marketing team, work with your marketing team, and get those supporters engaged. This is all valuable information that Facebook is kind of giving us for free, so use it to your advantage. This was when we did, not this match, but we did a match in July. Is that the one where we raised $40,000 or $50,000? So along with while the match was going on Facebook, we normally don't spend that much on Facebook ads, but we did for this campaign just to boost it. So as you can see, during those 4 days, we spent $171 running ads, and we got 620 new people liking our page. And these ads reached 27,000 people. So while a lot of our ads, every day we do a plea for our EBI animals, and that gets boosted with $5, and it reaches anywhere from 2,000 to 8,000 people. Kind of just depends sometimes on the day. The pictures are big in these ads that you're catching. These are the ads that are popping up in the news feed. So if you're catching their eye with the picture, now they're going to click in and see what it's about. So here's one of the ads that ran during that match. So it's a cute little puppy picture. This one went to all of San Antonio. You can see some of the information of what we targeted. This particular ad, there were 3 total ads, brought in 283 page likes. And what was the other? I think that was everything on that one. So, but that ad went out to all of San Antonio. This next ad, we targeted the specifics. And down in the corner of interest, we put in PetSmart, we put in animal rights, Best Friends Animal Society, Petco, No Kill, just all kinds of words. You start typing these words in and stuff will pop up. You click on that and you add it to your target. We added some of the other shelters in our city, those because they have Facebook pages. Now we're targeting the people that like their page as well. And this one didn't target anybody that liked our page, so we're just reaching out to anybody that wasn't already a Facebook fan of ours, and it brought in 181 new page likes. So this is all part of the 621 likes. So these ads are very effective. When we aren't doing a match like this, and maybe we're trying to build our foster network, or we're advertising an event, we may only spend $10 a day. Still brings in a lot of likes. You can create these to send them to your website, so they're liking your web page and driving traffic to your web page if you have something going on the web page. So again, these are very valuable tools, and they're under, you just go into your Facebook page and create an ad, and then you set it up. You do need to put a credit card in to get it started. So, and then these are some of the links we just wanted to share with you guys. I think they're all in your handout, so we won't go through them all. Is there any that you want to
No,
elaborate
I
on?
think we've already talked through them all.
Okay. So these are just helpful links for your information. And if you guys want to reach out to us after the event or you have questions about something we shared, feel free to email either one of us. We'll be happy to answer your questions.